Hi, it's Joey, and today we're watching A Murder at the End of the World, Season 1, Episode 6, Chapter 6, Crime Scene. The crime has been seen. We left Darby in a really precarious position. I'm very stressed. Let's go. Was this a murder attempt, or was this an accident? That looked like the same person that was standing over. What is happening? Like, did someone lure her there? Did someone lure her there to try and murder her? Or did someone ask her to come there truly to help her and talk to her, and it was an accident? Like, someone else was like, I'll just close the pool up now, it's time for the cover to go on, and didn't know she was under the water. I don't know.
Is the pool cover on the grid?
Mm-hmm.
You think it was hacked?
They got lucky she jumped in and didn't just sit and wait.
I want to trust you, Lee. I really do.
Mm-hmm. But you've got
But it's hard.
shady stuff going on.
Passport and about Andy, isn't it? You're hiding something for him.
Or from him?
I'm really sorry. Just it was so.
Jesus Christ, I felt like it was that kind of thing. I hope we can trust her, and I do believe her.
Andy was obsessed, but the thing Zoomer needed protecting from was Andy. I knew I had to get him out, but I just didn't know how. I guess I could have.
Bill was helping.
But
it's hard to get away from a man like Andy. I sensed these kind of vibes from the beginning.
Pull over to sleep.
Did he find them? Has he chipped Zoomer or something?
I heard my friends laugh coming down off of the porch.
Andy's there.
And I smiled to hear that laugh because then I saw who he was laughing with.
A monster.
You can go. Zuma stays.
But how could you work for someone like that? Obviously he pays you well.
And that would explain why David was at Bill's room that night. They were to meet. The 3 teacups. Bill. Rohan. David. And you think that Andy is behind all of this? Maybe. But
Behind
Andy's
a
too
lot of
smart
things.
to invite Bill to his retreat and have him murdered, especially if he knew about the. But I can't let Zoomer grow up in a house of pain like
We're
that.
getting you out.
That you were doxxed, stalked, terrified into disappearing from the world. You met a man, a powerful man who you thought could save you. Except it turns out he was all of that. Just in a new form.
We're getting you and Zoomer out. I don't know how, but we're doing it.
It was a good. David, is that you? No.
Oh God.
Oliver.
What's going on exactly?
Why your room?
It's so hard to know if you can trust
No one is looking
anyone.
for me. I can't do it anymore. Please.
We can trust him more than some people here. They should have had a chance to talk to each other again, to figure things out. But this guy's like right-hand man of Andy, isn't he? Or is Andy's funding everything he does or something?
Right there. That.
It's an empty hall.
No, look.
The
light
light.
changes. See?
The door opens.
Bill opened the door. Someone's edited themselves out of the footage. His chest starts to feel like it's about to explode, and his brain starts shutting down, and his fingers start to go cold.
Yeah.
And then he feels
This is awful to think about with anyone, let alone someone you love.
We're here.
Yeah. Go to the next part.
Like these,
It's
he was
just,
fingering.
I don't
Is he trying to put out specific
read this
things?
part normally. Allison Dupree.
Marissa Bahari.
I get why he's traumatized and when he left. I wish he'd spoken to her before he did.
You help me in any drought? You help me?
They deserved a chance to heal from this. And be friends if nothing else. He deserved a chance to have a long life.
Take a side. Patricia Bell is in there?
Hattie?
Yeah, well, we think we found her remains beneath the house. Can I use your phone,
Yeah.
please?
George? Get the phone!
You think you know someone, you think life is one way and then it isn't.
Frank Bell's a former police officer. He committed suicide on the premises. We have reason to believe and evidence to back it up that he is responsible for the serial murder of 11 women across 7
This is the moment she's been building to, and Bill's just standing alone in the guy's blood.
Thank you.
They did a very good thing. They did it.
He must have been on that subreddit, following us for a while, getting high off the work we were doing. So I guess in a way it's like we were appreciating what he'd done.
I wasn't appreciating him.
No, but that's how he would have seen it. She's getting into his mind.
You know what I mean, though.
I know, Dari, I'm trying to process this and like tell you how I
What
feel.
just happened?
You're on the case.
They did a really good thing. Almost cost them their lives. And cost them their future. What was he trying to tell her? Not the killer doesn't matter? Focus on the rest of them? Or that it's a man out to destroy women? That he's sorry he left? Without saying anything? It would have been nice if they'd been able to talk to each other one last time. Or, like, then and in the future, but they were very young and very traumatized. A lot of trauma and pain.
Sorry. It's okay.
You've been through a lot, my love.
It's actually really, really good to cry. I didn't want to see all the ways that I had left him before he left me. I don't want to believe that I'm not able to meet love.
Aww, it was an awful
I know what you
situation.
should do about that.
And the pacemaker receiver, and maybe she's not working.
Are we
over
getting
there.
somewhere?
Maybe they're just waiting nearby.
Wait.
What's happened?
Barbie.
Oh my god.
Sorry. Willfully. That's my wife.
Fucking hell. I knew there was that man was, he had that edge to him. They did it so well because it was so, I mean, it was noticeable but also subtle from the very beginning that he had something about him. Now, there is still a chance he's not the murderer, and there's going to be like a twist that somebody else killed Bill at the very least. Maybe he's been behind everything since, but it's very sketchy. He's been sketchy from the beginning. They did such a good job of that just unsettlingness, and there was unsettling vibes between him and Lee, and you could feel it the whole way through, but there was no tangible proof. You know, if you went and you said, I think that man's abusive, people would say, well, there's no evidence, I'm sorry, we can't prosecute, we can't look into that. But it was just so clearly there. um and to know just to the extent, it's very horrific and very terrifying when it's a man with that much power and control. He really is, as he said in the previous episode, a king of the modern era, and that is the worst position to be in. Now, there is still going to turn out to be a chance that somebody else killed Bill. You know, we had various other people that were suspects even mentioned in this episode. But he obviously is a very bad man that we need to get that kid and his wife away from, and everybody else. So they were on to David. They beat him up. They brought him to the door. Zuma is God knows where. This is a very big compound with a lot of people loyal to Andy. He could have taken, and he will have taken, Zuma anywhere. Unless he's super confident that everything's fine, in which case Zuma will just be in his bedroom. But there are so many. We still don't know quite what's going on. Andy could just be acting out because his wife's trying to leave him and take his son away, and he is a controlling narcissistic psychopath. Doesn't necessarily mean he's the killer, although he looks like the killer to me. You know, it's not definite that he's the killer at this point. Um, I love that we finally saw the conclusion of the Silver Doe story, what happened when they were in that place, the trauma that both of them were under. Like looking at it, the first thing I thought of was she should have made Bill climb out of that basement too and brought him with her. Like, yeah, he was covered in blood, or at least taken him into a different room of the house or something, so that he wasn't just stood there in the blood. She should have not walked out in the bathroom. But she was very young too. Even if she wasn't displaying it in the same way, I think in a way part of her fixation on the case in that moment was her dealing with what she'd been through. Her processing it was to just, I've got to understand it. If I can understand why the killer did it, then I can understand. You know, she was kind of still just on that train. It's both how she operates and how she thinks. But we'd seen it in the build up that she did not have very healthy coping mechanisms in her process, in how she was coping with all of this, and it wasn't healthy for Bill or for her. I wish he could have talked to her about it. They could have said goodbye. He could have, said it to her face instead of leaving her a message. But given what they've been through, I don't blame either of them. Even if, like she said, you can see all the moments she left him before he left her. Now, it doesn't mean she can't receive love. It doesn't mean she can't give love. It just means that that was a very intense situation for any two people to be in. Especially when they were at the beginning. I mean, I know that they talked online for a very long time, but at the beginning of forming some kind of a relationship, when he had a lot of other issues going on and so did she, it was just intense for anybody. So I'm glad we finally saw that conclusion, and it just makes me desperately sad. We haven't really got to know the other victims as well. But you kind of look at that and you think Bill and Darby could have really had a future together. And whether they ended up being romantic again or not, they could have really been in each other's lives. Bill could have got to know his son. There was real hope. And they did such a good thing. The things Bill stands for in his art are things that I agree with. The things they've mentioned, at least, unless I'm forgetting any. So his death is truly tragic. And I've done such a good job of making his death more tragic as time goes on, rather than kind of having you just be like, oh, I'm so sad for this victim. Now, I'm stressed. I love them all working together. Lee, if I wasn't believing Lee's story, I am now. I mean, I 100% was. But you kind of, with any case like this, you're like, there is a 0.001% chance she's lying. But as always, I believe people when they say they have suffered. And the signs were all there. I love that David was trying to help her. Then other dude, initially I was concerned because obviously we know that he, so much of his work is funded by Andy. I was worried he would ultimately be loyal to Andy, but he genuinely does seem to be part of the mission solving together. And I know that we know that he and David have a thing, so it's, if David trusts him, then I trust him, given that we trust David. But where it's going to go from here, now obviously the next episode I guess we're going to get the conclusion of Andy definitely did it, or Andy's a shady piece of shit who needs to be taken down, but he didn't actually kill Bill. Whatever the ultimate scale of it all is. It's out because right now it seems really obvious Andy's behind everything. But I also think she's not wrong. He wouldn't invite Bill to his own hotel to murder him there. Andy has enough reach and power that he could have had Bill killed literally anywhere. So was it that he wanted to get to know his son's father? Was it that he wanted to try and sneak some blood or some DNA or something out of the man so that he could, like, you know, have backup DNA stuff for Zoom? I don't know. There are obviously reasons why he could have wanted to control, and Bill was an element he couldn't control, but I still feel like he's someone with the resources to have Bill killed wherever rather than here, where the blame would fall at him. Though maybe if he was intentionally going to try and throw the blame at Lee, that could also be a reason for him to do it here, because he controls the environment and he can set things up the way he wants. So it definitely still could be Andy, but it also could simply be that this situation was started by somebody else and Andy has simply jumped onto it and is doing what he does worst and best. This show is very good. The mystery is brilliant. The way they eke out Darby's character is fantastic. I'm both like, I would like to, I mean, I'm assuming this is going to be like wrapped up in the next episode, and part of me is like, I would love to see Darby again, and the rest of me is like, she just deserves no more trauma. Let her live a trauma-free life, just helping people, solving crimes for them, but not personally undergoing any more traumas. Fantastic show. Thank you so much for watching.